Are your kids fighting? Does frustration well up in your soul when the bickering, unkind words and fists start flying? Have you tried all of the things? Talking about the importance of sibling relationships, punishing, threatening, and yet your kids are still fighting? Yeah, I've been there too. In fact, every parent struggles with this. Know that you're not failing, but you might just need a change in perspective and some tools in your belt. Hey, if we haven't met, I'm Kim with Not Consumed Ministries. We help families grow in faith so they can live not consumed by life. My friend, it's time we face the truth about why our kids struggle to get along and learn how we can help them. Truth number 1, kids fight because we are all selfish and driven by our flesh. It often seems like the quest to end sibling fighting is a losing battle because every single person alive is selfish. We are all driven by our own flesh and its desires. James 1:14 tells us that we are each tempted not by what someone else desires, but by our own selfish desires. In fact, we can't even be tempted by the things we don't desire. This is one of the most profound truths to teach kids when it comes to dealing with relationships. When faced with conflict, if we can step back or out of our own desires or rights, we would be able to quickly make peace. It's when we insist on our own way that we get into trouble and the conflict blows up. Real love doesn't insist on its own way, 1 Corinthians 13:5. Real love puts others first. Here's the problem. Even as adults, this is super hard for us to do. Learning these verses and reminding ourselves of this truth does help us resolve conflict, and it will eventually make those altercations less frequent. But don't expect your kids to be perfect here. Unless, of course, you are. I kid. Seriously, we often expect our kids to never, ever fight with their siblings, insist on their own way, or demand their rights. And yet, we turn around and do the exact thing with our spouse, or even the lady who cuts us off in the fast lane. Ouch, right? Here's some questions you can ask your kids. What could you have done in that situation to bring peace more quickly? Ask this instead of focusing on how they were wronged. You can also ask, what rights could you have given up in the interest of putting others first? These are hard questions, but they work. Truth number 2, kids fight because God is still working on all of us. Sin is a part of life on this fallen earth. I am not making excuses for anyone here, only pointing out the stark reality of life. I can't help but think of the old song, "He's still working on me to make me what I ought to be." Part of life here on earth involves our sanctification as Christians. We can't forget that God is still working on us. None, no, not one of us has yet arrived. Our kids need our grace just as much as we need God's grace for our daily failures. This doesn't mean we're going to let them continue to fight. It means we will seek to understand why it happens. It means we as parents will seek to help our kids work through the hard parts instead of shouting, pushing, and slamming doors. No, we won't get it right every time either, but we can purpose ourselves to give every ounce of effort towards achieving this. We can expect to see kids fighting to battle against their selfish desires, but we are dead wrong to expect perfection out of them. That's an impossible standard, and it will only frustrate our kids. Here are some questions you can ask. How is God working in your life right now to help you grow? Was that choice or statement showing grace for your sibling as he is growing and learning in Christ? Truth number 3. This isn't Burger King and you can't have it your way. It's true. You can't always have it your way. I like to use the analogy of bumper cars when I talk about sibling relationships. As soon as the buzzer sounds, 25 eager drivers put the pedal to the metal and havoc breaks loose. Each person in those cars has an agenda. Anytime you live closely with someone, your own desires, opinions, and ideas will cause friction in that relationship. When you live in the same house, this can literally be physical contact with each other. But most often, the friction refers to the conflict of wills, attitudes, emotions, and opinions. These things rub against each other, making it difficult to get along with your siblings, which leads to kids fighting. Have you ever noticed that your agenda doesn't match the agenda of others? Go back with me to the bumper car lot for a moment. For people like me, we hope to make several laps following all the driving laws so we can mark off practice driving on our list of things to do today. Then there are people like my 10-year-old son. His agenda is to bump into as many people as humanly possible. He keeps a mental record and compares amusement park experiences over the years with others. As you can imagine, if I get into a bumper car lot with my son, one of us is going to be disappointed with the results. Our agenda is going to be ruined. All relationships are like this because each person brings into the relationship their own agenda or will, attitudes, emotions, and yes, opinions. They have their own purpose, their own plan for how it should look, and their own ideas about what is good. Teach your kids this truth about others and themselves. No, it won't create an instant bond or solve all of your sibling rivalry problems. This knowledge will definitely help make conflict less frequent as your kids seek to become more Christ-like by understanding the position of the other person. Here are some questions you can ask your kids to help them to think this way. Did you seek to understand the other person's point of view or problem? Is there something you can do to better understand why they're behaving that way? Truth number 4, your kids are in training, not taking the final exam. One night I found myself in a frustrated fit. I was praying about a major conflict in our family that day. The enemy was working hard on his lies, and I was convinced that I was failing as a mom. There was no hope because I had plain ruined my kids, and it was too late to fix them. You ever believed any of those lies? That night I was journaling through my frustration, and God recalled this truth to mind. Your kids are in training, not taking the final exam. I stopped dead in my tracks as soon as I wrote those words. Oh, the freedom and responsibility in this truth. My kids are in training. That's what we're doing here as parents. And you know what training looks like? Well, it's messy. It includes mistakes, failures, and a lot of practice. If there's anything you heard in this video today, I pray it's this. Our job as parents is to simply train our kids, and training takes a lifetime. It's not perfect. It's not usually pretty. There's sweat, tears, toil, hardship, and eventually, it's victory. Note, I said eventually. One day, Lord willing, your kids will get it. One day, they will see the value in putting others first and setting aside their own agendas. But here's the sweetest part of the deal. You aren't responsible for the one day. You're responsible for training today. God handles the rest. He's the one who continues the work in their hearts for eternity. Your job and my job is just for today. It's just for these short, precious years when they live under our roof and listen to our wisdom. So instead of looking for the final exam results, just be faithful to the training. God is right there with you, holding up your arms in battle for strength. Will there still be kids fighting? Yes, but keep planting seeds and trusting God. Here's some questions you can ask your kids. In what ways have you seen your siblings grow in Christ recently? Are you seeking to understand that your siblings are still in training? This one is especially useful for those older kids who tend to be a little legalistic about the rules that their siblings are not following. Truth number 5. Kids fight because we forget to teach them. We buy our kids math books and pay for violin lessons, but sometimes we forget to invest in tools that help them to grow spiritually. All of the reasons for fighting that I mentioned today can only be fixed with spiritual growth. I realized this many years ago, and that's why I wrote My Brother's Keeper. It's a Bible study helping siblings understand God's purpose for their relationship. Some of what I shared today is directly taught to kids in this study. If you haven't laid a biblical foundation for sibling relationships, start with this study. You'll want your kids to see that God doesn't make mistakes and that He put them in the perfect family with the perfect siblings. He also gave them specific ways to love those siblings. Next, teach them how to resolve conflict. This isn't something you understand naturally, and the world has a very different view of how to deal with conflict than God shares in His Word. Get out the Bible and teach your kids how to resolve conflict biblically. If you want an easy button, the Making Peace Bible Study can help. I'm going to link it in the description box along with My Brother's Keeper. Now, if you've laid the foundation for both of these topics and your family just needs some practice, you might consider either the Sibling Challenge Journal or the Sibling Challenge Game. Both products help kids think intentionally about fostering a good relationship with their siblings. The Sibling Challenge Journal helps them journal through the good, bad, and even the ugly. It's not intended to be used as a family, as it's something each individual should pray over and focus on. So if your child wouldn't be interested in journaling, the Sibling Challenge Game can help accomplish the same thing. Here's how we play. I set the box on the counter and we all work toward completing a puzzle. To get the missing letter, kids have to take a card from the box and complete the challenge on the card. The challenges are full of different ways to love your siblings. Trust me, kids need ideas. They don't just think of these things on their own. It's okay that it's not natural for them. Practicing these cards will help it to become more natural. Once they complete the challenge on the card, they scratch off the star to reveal the letter. The whole family works together to finish the sentence on the card. Once we do, we celebrate by going out for ice cream or doing something fun together. Okay, I pray that you've been encouraged by this video. Don't give up, my friend. I know this is a battle, but it's worthy of our endurance. I'm cheering you on. What's the next step for you? Are there any products that I mentioned today that you'd like to try? Leave me a comment and tell me what you need to teach your kids next. It will encourage us all. I'd also love for you to share this video with someone who has kids. I'm sure it will encourage them too. I'll see you in the next video where we dive deeper into conflict resolution.